That hole in the wall certainly looks funny, so let's go and fill it up. Well, some time ago I went to a convention in the US and they were giving out some, I think it was the San Jose one, but they were giving out kits, very cheap kits, and for some reason I ended up with one of these and I've been wondering what to do with it, but I do think it most probably can fill the hole that we've got. So we're going to play around with it and see if that will work. It's a Plasticville Emily's Dry Goods. Okay, so that's going to be the front. So it's a very, very fundamental and simple building to make. If I can do it the right way. It's almost a snap together kit. Well, we of course only have about 2 inches depth up there, so I'm going to have to certainly trim that right down, but it certainly will fit up there just right. So after trimming and a little bit of paint, that's what it looks like. It looks a little bit better than the plastic kit that as it came. So the next objective would be to think about what this shop's going to be. Now, because the lady I lived with was mad on quilts, she insisted that I have a quilt shop on it. So this is going to be a quilt shop. So let's see how we can make that look more than an empty shop, but a working, practical quilt shop. So the building looks there, fits in there fairly well, but without lights like the adjacent buildings, I think it looks a bit flat, and also without an interior. So let's go now and start building some interiors and see how it turns out. So this is the module built for the ground floor. It should slip straight in. The stairs are to go behind here, and that's the down floor. Now I'll tip that over. You can see there the LEDs that are mounted on the top for the lights for this unit. This wire coming out of the bottom of the building is for the lights that are on the ceiling for the upper floor. Again, using the LEDs. Sometimes I will put black paint over one of those units if I think the lights are too bright in there. I do always use 9 volts on my LEDs rather than the 12 volts that they're rated for. So that also cuts down a little bit on the brightness of it. So let's see then how this fits in. So that's the down floor in. Lights are already installed. Let's do the top floor, if I can find it.
Watching your partner working. Okay.
The top floor is the ladies' quilting group, and this one on this side, my dear lady, she's always at these quilting groups. Oh, the mess they make. Okay, let's see if it fits in. Sorry, I've got to find something. Okay, so the top floor's in. I'll reinstall the roof. I did have to trim the roof because the overhang was hitting the building next to it, so trimmed it right down. So now we have the two wires, or two sets of wires, coming out for the lights for both floors.
But upstairs they're working so hard, the windows have got very misty.
And I think quiltaholics are a little bit more pedantic and rigorous than us trained folk, actually.
What did you say?
Nothing. Boxes of our bits and pieces that we use to do our details.
Okay, away you go.
Okay, this is an example of what one of the buildings that we're working on. In the main Bellows Falls town, we have a wine shop called Noonsy Estate. Why Noonsy? Because that was our vineyard. And this is our cellar door for selling wines. Now, pretty much everything in there, apart from the people and the barrels, has been scratch built. The racks on the side, trying to be very still here to give a better view of them. I basically built out of styrene. I laid very fine styrene rods on it, and then was lucky enough to have the lady sitting next to me paint them. So both of those racks with all the wine is scratch built. The panel in the middle of all the case wine was chopped up from styrene and glued together and put into panels. Again, on the end of the boxes was some signs talking about the wine. The counter was cut from styrene. The computer up here with the screen on it was again made from styrene and painted. Now, of course, the barrels weren't. Where we got them, most probably we wouldn't remember, but they came in some pack from some supplier. The people, if you look carefully at the front table, it even had some bottles there and some glasses for the wine tasting that the lady is giving to the man there. All the people painted and came in bulk, and we'll talk a little bit more about people. There's an example of a person that we got from, I dare say, China. So that's an example of the wine cellar we're putting into the new area we're working on in Bellows Falls. Bellows Falls has a flower shop. It has an archway like that going into it. This would have come from an example of a unit that we got in a pack of shelving for a garage that's been painted and looks pretty good. These are people that are being set up to be put on the platform at Bellows Falls. There's a lot more of them. Hold on.
Yeah, so
And again, people from China and painted. These were barrels that were got somewhere, not sure where, with plants that are going into one of the buildings in Bellows Falls. The rest of this is all units of debris and boxes and people.
for factories and things. Yeah. Yep.
Now, if we talk a little bit about the people, we now have over 500 people on the layout. And those people come in units, and they're all, nearly all, from China in a raw state. Now, they are sorted here into like people, so that when they're painted, no two are painted the same colours. That way we can spread them over the layer, put them in different buildings, and just get more people.
Yes. Ones that have been painted.
These are ones that have been painted, and again we're getting ready for putting these people into Bellows Falls, the area that we've done no serious internal and people at this stage. I think the hardest job was done by the person who's packaged all these into little boxes of similar people. I mean, why not? Farm workers, please. Mixed sports, female standing in jeans, mixed workers, passengers, ladies standing in suits, etc., etc. We use a lot of carpets and flooring in our buildings. Sometime, a long time ago, I bought this pack of carpets, $2.50. They look really good, but I've found that going onto the web and just searching for carpet from various manufacturers, they have a lot of good examples. And they're most probably not quite as fussy as these anyhow. And we simply print them off on an inkjet on inkjet quality paper, which makes it really sort of it makes them really come out well. So that's the carpets. The furniture is interesting. We've bought furniture from lots and lots of places, but one of the most interesting ones that we've come across is Shapeways, where you can buy 3D printed furniture, and it's relatively price competitive, and they've got lots and lots of different sort of things that can be used. So there's lounge suites, cafes, station platforms, chairs and tables. Now you'll notice on the building that was we had before, there was some of those devices, some of those units inside there, but they paint up very well. Some of them are a little bit rough, but when they're inside a building and painted, you don't see it. So that makes it more price competitive to use them. There's a set of books book racks that have been scratch built, left over from one of our buildings. The other thing we have put into the various buildings are pictures on the walls. These that go into the quilt shop, they're bits of material that have been ironed out flat and stuck onto a very thin sheet of styrene. So that makes the buildings look more friendly and more like a quilt shop. Our signs that we use for the buildings, I again search the internet, find interesting names and build up the sign. Now that's one of the first ones for the Quiltaholics, and they are again printed on a inkjet printer at high quality and stuck onto a bit of black. We do go around then the edge of it with black. So
to hide the white paper.
So, and that is to hide the white paper that we've been using. So that's the way that we adorn buildings and sign them and people them. As I said, we've got about 500 people on the layout now, and by the time we're finished, there'll most probably be another 500, because we've got boxes of people doing strange things. Right, I'm not sure what else. Most of the lighting in our buildings are coming from LED strips. It makes it simple because they're 12 volts. We can cut them down into units of 3. Now I've searched everywhere to see if I can get shorter ones than this, but I can't. I also searched to find the black ones because it just hides it a bit more. Now at times I will, as I mentioned before, I will paint out a light if there's too much light coming through in the room. And I'll also run them at 9 volts. There's an example of a unit with 2 of the lights painted out, and only 1 light used. There's a little bit of a glow through the black paint for the others, but it's inconsequential. So, simplest way to do lights. Of course, there is always cases where you need a single light for a particular reason. Then we go back to the good old LEDs, single LEDs, and the need to convert the 12 volts down to somewhere around 3 volts, depending on the LED. Well, the Quiltaholics building is pretty much complete now. We've got all the insides in, the lights in. But when it was put on the layout, it looked funny next to the building next to it, because the top floor of that had no lights. So the next project was to fix that building, which led to fixing all the buildings along here. So we've got the internals of the buildings, the bike shop, the eye doctors on the upper floor of the brown building, optometrist. On the right hand side there's engineering works. Downstairs we've got a ladies' hairdressers, and on the right we have a bar. Must have the bar. The Pete's bike shop has been completed with all the people in it, some people outside. Upstairs is just a flat with somebody living there. There's nothing. Lloyd's Cold Storage. When Kelly Lloyd was leaving to go back to the US, he gave me one of his buildings to fit on to put on my layout. At long last I've got it on the layout. It's a little bit different to how Kelly gave it to me, because I went and put some people downstairs, some business downstairs. So that's a Kelly Lloyd memory. The station is pretty much complete. Got to think about putting some internals into that at some point. The road and people are also pretty much it. We have a photographer here waiting for a train to come along, and there's a couple down at the cafe standing there waiting for a train to come along.